dead. All radio is dead.
Hi, this is Casey Hendrickson, and you're listening to my podcast from my radio show heard on 95.3 MNC. Don't forget to follow me online on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, and Snapchat at Casey the Host. You can also find me on Instagram at ASD Knives. Thanks for listening. I have 18 spectacularly wrong Earth Day predictions. This is my favorite thing to do every Earth Day. I love going through all of the predictions that were made about Earth Day and why we have Earth. Your microphone is on. Don't cuss at the callers, please. But Earth Day, you know, again, is one of those days they established, and they said we have to have an Earth Day because of this, and none of the stuff has come true. So, number one, Harvard biologist George Wald estimated that civilization will end within 15 to 30 years unless immediate action is taken against problems facing mankind. Now, those were made right around 1970 when Earth Day was started. Okay, so these are 18 predictions that were made right around Earth Day when it was first started. So, again, 15 to 30 years, that's it. And they keep telling us that we've made no progress, so we should all probably be on the verge of extinction by now. Number two, we are in an environmental crisis which threatens the survival of this nation and of the world as a suitable place for human habitation. That's Washington University biologist Barry Commoner in the Earth Day issue of the scholarly journal Environment. He was wrong, too. Number three, the day after the first Earth Day, the New York Times editorial page warned man must stop pollution and conserve his resources, not merely to enhance existence, but to save the race from intolerable deterioration and possible extinction. Weird. We're thriving like way better than we were in the 1970s. I mean, we've almost eradicated mass famine around the globe. There's still pockets of famine, don't get me wrong, but we don't have the issues that we had in the 1980s that we saw on TV, and we don't have the musicians coming out and doing all of this, the concerts and things like that to raise money for millions of people who are starving to death. Right now, we basically say, no, people are starving if they go hungry in the middle of the afternoon in between meals. That's how the United States calculates children struggle with hunger. So basically, if you get hungry at any point in the day, you are now counted as somebody who is food deprived, which is not true. Number four, the population will inevitably and completely outstrip whatever small increases in food supplies we make. That is Paul Ehrlich confidently declaring that in the April 1970 issue, Mademoiselle. The death rate will increase until at least 100 to 200 million people per year will be starving to death during the next 10 years, he said. That didn't happen. Most of the people who are going to die in the greatest cataclysm in the history of man have already been born, said Paul Ehrlich again in 1969 in an essay titled Eco-Catastrophe. By 1975, some experts feel that food shortages will have escalated the present level of world hunger and starvation into famines in unbelievable proportions. That didn't happen. Ehrlich also sketched out his most alarmist scenario for the 1970 Earth Day issue of The Progressive, assuring readers that between 1980 and 1989, some 4 billion people, including 65 million Americans, would perish in the Great Die-Off, is what he called it. That didn't happen. Number seven, it is already too late to avoid mass starvation, declared Denise Hayes, the chief organizer for Earth Day, in the spring 1970 issue of The Living Wilderness. That didn't happen. Number eight, Peter Gunther, a North Texas State University professor, wrote in 1970, demographers agree almost unanimously. The science is settled, ladies and gentlemen. The scientists all agree unanimously about the following grim timetable. Or does this sound familiar or what? By 1975, widespread famines will begin in India. These will spread by 1990 to include all of India, Pakistan, China, and the Near East, Africa. By the year 2000, or conceivably sooner, South and Central America will exist under famine conditions. By the year 2000, 30 years from now, the entire world, with the exception of Western Europe, North America, and Australia, will be in famine. All of that has been nonsense. Absolute nonsense. So I'll go over the rest of these coming up in just a couple of minutes here on Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. By the way, we got a correction on that accident. County Road 17 in the car crash is in between County Road 17 and County Road 20. So appreciate that. Thank you very much. We got that at the intersection there. We want to avoid that. Somebody called the station and sent the gatekeeper in to let us know. Casey, please post this Earth Day stuff as a separate video. Oh, people can make video requests now. Apparently. Is that a thing that we're doing for the audience? They get to make their own requests on what I post on my own YouTube channel? I wasn't aware that is demonetized and I'm not allowed to make any money off of?
Apparently we are now, Casey.
I have bestowed that power upon all of you to make requests like this? You got to be kidding.
I wasn't aware that you did that. Did you do it?
I don't make any money on this stuff. I don't make any money on. I spend money doing this. I spend time away from my children doing this. And then when I ask you guys to give me $1 for a radiothon, if all of you in my audience gave $1, it would be the biggest radiothon ever in the history of all radio. And you still won't do it. Just $1. I don't need 50. I need $1 from everybody on Thursday and Friday for the 5-star radiothon specifically. Okay? $1. That's all I need. But they can make requests on what videos I upload. Okay. I see how things are. All right, so we're talking about the 18 Earth Day predictions that were a giant load of bullcrap. Number 9, in January 1970, Life reported, scientists have solid experimental and theoretical evidence to support. Again, the science is settled, everybody. The following predictions, in a decade, that would be 1980, urban dwellers will have to wear gas masks to survive air pollution. By 1985, air pollution will have reduced the amount of sunlight reaching Earth by 1/2. Nobody in the 1970s was predicting global cooling, Casey. Really? What do you think that is? No, they're just saying that there's going to be less sunlight hitting the Earth. Right. Number 10, ecologist Kenneth Watt told Time magazine that at the present rate of nitrogen buildup, it's only a matter of time before light will be filtered out of the atmosphere and none of our land will be usable. Oh, that was before we started putting it in our tires, though. So we found a way to trap the nitrogen. But see here, this is what I keep telling you. If you go back to 1970 when Earth Day started and you read the crap that the same people, okay, Kenneth Watt, Paul Ehrlich, and these others, they're still in the movement now as I don't know if Watt is still alive, Ehrlich is. They're still in the movement now, and they talk about all of the science is settled on all of this. The science, yep, you're all going to be wearing gas masks in a few years. None of it happened, okay? It's crap. Every time they've told us that all the scientists believe the same thing, they've been wrong, okay? I have always equated this to a cult leader who says the Earth is going to end on this day. We're going to go out to this place. We're going to wait for the starship, the mothership, whatever, to come and get us. We have to wear white keds and purple gowns and all that stuff. I know some of you know what I'm referring to. And we're going to go and we're going to wait for the mothership to take us. And when the mothership doesn't take them, and everybody looks around and goes, "Hey, what's the deal, dear leader?" Oh, my math was wrong. It's next. I'm so sorry. I forgot to carry the one. It's next year. We'll come back next year. Mothership still doesn't show up. And then he goes, oh, you know what? We forgot about leap year. Oh, it's really next year that we're doing. You come back to third year, mothership still doesn't come. And guess what? People still go back every single year with this quack until he finally Kool-Aid deaths everybody because he can't take the humiliation anymore. Number 11, Barry Commoner predicted that decaying organic pollutants would use up all of the oxygen in America's rivers, causing freshwater fish to suffocate. Can we get some of that for the Asian carp? That would be nice. Number 12, Paul Ehrlich again chimed in, predicting in 1970 that air pollution is certainly going to take hundreds of thousands of lives in the next few years alone. Ehrlich sketched a scenario in which 200,000 Americans would die in 1973 during smog disasters in New York and L.A. No, that's smog. And for some reason, smog doesn't cause people in LA to be infertile. It like ramps up baby production for some reason, and it's a very scary thing. Although we're starting to see, I think, some effects of smog in the smog capital of the world. Where's the smog capital of the world, everybody? Where's my South Park fans? I know you don't watch South Park, but you got to know. Come on, smog capital of the world. I don't know if you have a joke answer. No, what's the real capital of smog in the world? What is it? I mean, it's in the U.S., but where is it? Huh?
I don't know.
San Francisco, a place where people are pooping and peeing on the sidewalks in accelerated numbers, according to an article last week. More people, not less, are pooping on the sidewalks. Remember they did that whole thing where, if you see poop, can you pick it up so we can keep it clean? And then they had that public relations reach out to all of the homeless people, stop crapping on the sidewalk, please. And it turns out that more people are now doing it. Because now I'm assuming that bicyclists are in on this. So bicyclists in San Francisco are a special breed. They're actually a gang. And so they're probably just running along. They probably got bike shorts with the little flappy thing in the back. You just unsnap your little flap in the back, and you just keep going while you're riding. That's what I assume is happening. I don't know. Seems logical. Number 13, Paul Ehrlich again warned in the May 1970 issue of Autobahn that DDT and other chlorinated hydrocarbons may have substantially reduced the life expectancy of people born since 1945. Wrong. Ehrlich also warned that Americans born since 1946 now had a life expectancy of only 49 years. And he predicted that if current patterns continued, this expectancy would reach 42 years by the year 1980, when it might level out. All lies. Number 14, ecologist Kenneth Watt declared by the year 2000, if present trends continue, we will be using up crude oil at such a rate that there won't be any more crude oil. They'll drive up to the pump and say, fill her up, buddy. And he'll say, I am very sorry, there isn't any, unquote. Wrong. We now know that crude oil, that by the way, that crap spilled into my adulthood where they were trying to tell you that we're running out of oil. They tried doing that just 10 years ago. Turns out that oil is a renewable resource and it fills itself back up. Number 15, Harrison Brown, a scientist at the National Academy of Sciences, published a chart in Scientific American that looked at metal reserves and estimated that humanity would totally run out of copper shortly after 2000. Maybe this is why people keep stealing copper pipes. Lead, zinc, tin, gold, and silver would be gone before 1990. I assure you they're not. I've been to Impress Jewelry Creations, and they are well stocked. 16. Senator Gaylord Nelson wrote in Look that Dr. S. Dillon Ripley, secretary to the Smithsonian Institute, believes that in 25 years, somewhere between 75 and 80% of the species of living animals will be extinct. False. We keep finding new species. Number 17. In 1975, Paul Ehrlich predicted that since more than 9/10 of the original tropical rainforest will be removed in most areas within the next 30 years or so, it is expected that half of the organisms in these areas will vanish with it. That is not only untrue, we now have more forests today than we did in 1975. Number 18, the final climate prediction that was made around the establishment of Earth Day that was complete and utter garbage. Kenneth Watt warned about a pending ice age in a speech. The world has been chilling sharply for about 20 years, he declared. If present trends continue, the world will be about 4 degrees colder for the global mean temperature in 1990, but 11 degrees colder in the year 2000. This is about twice what it would take to put us into an ice age, he said. Oh, wow. But again, they never said that. Holy smokes. I mean, folks, it's just not one of their predictions has ever come true. Not one. And people still buy into their crap. And you go back to the 1970s. The science is settled. There's a consensus of scientists. This and that, this and that, this and that. This is why they don't make these predictions, 15 to 30 years out anymore. They make them hundreds of years out because they'll be dead. And you can't hold them liable for lying to you. MNC News Time is 4:31. Time to check out Masters Heating and Air Conditioning online, mastersheatcool.com. Masters gets there faster. And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595-953. That is 2595953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. Dingus Day is mainly a West End of South Bend event. It's a Catholic celebration to end Lent. It's a West End event because of a large Hispanic Catholic population living there. Okay. Casey, we were taught in 7th grade, 1990, that we would have to wear foil suits because there wouldn't be an ozone layer by the year 2000. I remember that. I was taught the same thing. The ozone layer was disappearing. It was the size of Australia. It was over Australia, and that's why Australia was so flippin' hot, right? It had nothing to do with where it was located on the Earth. Australia was hot because there was no ozone over Australia. It wasn't until you grow up that you realize if there weren't any ozone over Australia that they would all die. But they don't tell you that. And so, yeah, it was your Aquanet hairspray was doing it. So you had to get rid of the aerosol hairspray stuff. You had to get rid of all of that. And, yeah, it was. I remember the foil suit bit, too. I remember all of that stuff. And Captain Planet and all that other nonsense propaganda crap. Casey, thanks to the interweb, we can read those old articles and post them on social media. Thank you, Al Gore, for creating the internet. I mean, yeah, he kind of hosed himself there, didn't he? I mean, if you're going to run around and you are going to push global warming conspiracies, maybe you don't invent a way to share your failed predictions. Although he did, when he made An Inconvenient Truth 2, which like 3 people saw, he didn't predict. He said that his prediction that New York would be underwater was true because of that one hurricane that hit there a couple of years ago. And they had like a foot of water. And he's like, no, I was right. See, I told you it was going to happen. The global warming crap list you read, is that on the Burning Truth page? I guarantee it's on the website somewhere. It will be in the Daily Show Prep today. All right. So after the show, go there. It'll be there in today's Daily Show Prep. Don't you worry. I do it every year, so I know it's probably on there anyway. I have been toying around with the idea of picking back up the giant link list disproving man-made global warming, which I started 13 years ago. And I worked on for many, many years. It has hundreds of links to articles disproving a lot of these claims that people have made about stuff. And periodically I'll go back and I'll do a dump on it and update it, but I haven't actively maintained it in many years, and I'm considering doing that again.
All radio is dead.
Hi, this is Casey Hendrickson, and you're listening to my podcast from my radio show heard on 95.3 MNC. Don't forget to follow me online on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, and Snapchat at Casey the Host. You can also find me on Instagram at ASD Knives. Thanks for listening.